Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again today with another video. More specifically, back with another recap of the NBA games from tonight. I haven't done this in a couple days just because I haven't had a lot of time dealing with school and stuff. So I'm back at it. Only 5 games today, so not a ton to talk about, but there were some interesting storylines to go over. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to eventually end up talking about the Warriors Magic game the most at the end. Mainly, I want to talk about Stephen Curry and how great he's been, how fun it is to watch him play, and just how great it is to have Steph back. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Raptors Celtics. Before I get into it, drop a like, drop a subscribe, whatever you're feeling. Leave me a comment and let me know what your biggest takeaways were from today's games. Like I said, Raptors Celtics, we got Heat Rockets, Pacers Pistons, Magic Warriors, Sixers Trailblazers. Let me know what you thought about them. Let me know what storylines you took away, and I'll go ahead and get into it. So, I'm going to start with Raptors Celtics, like I said. For the Celtics, this win really came a lot from their peripheral guys, not really as much Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It was a lot of Peyton Pritchard, who had 20 points. I think he was a great draft pick for them. Definitely a player that a contender would want to draft, a guy who's really scrappy. He's going to hit some shots for you, and he's been a great player in place of Marcus Smart, who's dealing with injury. He does the same thing Smart does, of course, not to the extent that Smart does them, because Smart's like a defensive player of the year caliber player, but Peyton Pritchard does play good defense. He'll hit a few shots. He'll make some good plays. He's just a smart player, and he's been really good for the Celtics team. Like I said, in Marcus Smart's absence, Semi Ojeleye knocked down a ton of shots tonight. He had 24 points. I didn't check if that was a career high or not, but I kind of feel like it is. He was just really, really good, and if he could be consistent shooting, that would be huge for the Celtics team. Unfortunately, I don't see it. He just hasn't been consistent over his career. I think the Celtics really need to go out and find another shooting wing before the trade deadline if they really want to contend. Tatum and Brown were both decent, but they weren't up to the level that they normally are. But it really didn't matter because this Raptors team just couldn't seem to stop the other guys. On the Raptors side of the ball, Siakam's kind of started to build himself back to an all-star caliber player. He's definitely building that resume. I just don't think it's going to be too little too late with how the rest of the candidates have been playing really, really well this entire season. Siakam kind of struggled, and even though he's been really, really stepping it up, I don't think it's enough in time. I don't think he'll end up getting that consideration that he even might deserve by the time that the All-Star game rolls around. Kyle Lowry was good tonight. Fred VanVleet could not buy a bucket. He did have 11 assists, but he's got to score more for a team that is really lacking in scoring and depth. VanVleet can't be scoring that little points, or they're just not going to win, especially against a team like Boston. Heat Rockets, it was really the Jimmy Butler show for the Heat. Kendrick Nunn played pretty well, but Jimmy Butler was the story. He had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, triple double. He knocked down his first three of the season, which is kind of amazing. Jimmy Butler's just really, really good. This Heat team's definitely turned it around since he's kind of come back from injury, COVID type stuff. I think they call it the injury slash illness list. So since he's come back from that, this Heat team has been turning it around a lot. A team that's been really disappointing to start the season. It's starting to look like they're finding their groove a little bit. I still think that they need another piece because a lot of these guys that they've picked up, Avery Bradley has been playing well. Andre Iguodala has not been playing well. I feel like they just need something else. So I'd be very interested to see what they do around the deadline. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go out and make a splash for like a Victor Oladipo because I think that Pat Riley is going to want to try and capitalize on the clear potential that they showed last season where they made it to the finals, and he's going to try and want to replicate that this season. I don't know if it's possible. We'll see. On the Rocket side of the ball, Cousins played pretty well. John Wall played pretty well, but I really want to give a shout out to Jayshawn Tate, who's been really, really good. A lot of people say he reminds them of Dort. I kind of agree, just in that he's an undrafted player who's really showing out, making a name for himself. He doesn't play defense quite to the level that Lou Dort does, but he makes a lot of hustle plays. He plays good defense. He's going to hit some shots. It's what you need from a role player, and the fact that he's doing it as an undrafted guy is really cool to see. I really love when undrafted guys show out because to me, it's like the ultimate proving everyone wrong story. So I'm really happy that the Rockets gave him a chance, and I'm happy that he's using that opportunity to show why he belongs in the league. Pacers Pistons. This game was a blowout. Pistons couldn't stop Sabonis. That was really the story of it. They missed Mason Plumlee bad, who's now out for a little bit with, I believe, an elbow injury. Hopefully he comes back soon because this Pistons team struggled without him. Isaiah Stewart had a decent game, and Blake Griffin started off pretty well, but he ended up falling off. It's killed me to see how badly Blake Griffin has started to fall off. He just doesn't look healthy. I don't know if he's going to be able to get healthy again. He hasn't dunked since 2019, by the way. Like not like 2020. Like I think it was like December of 2019 was the last time Blake Griffin dunked. If I had told you that a couple years ago that Blake Griffin in 2021 wouldn't have dunked in 2 years, you probably would have thought I was crazy. It just sucks to see because he was so good a couple seasons ago, but he just hasn't been able to stay healthy since, and it really hurts this Pistons team. Even though this Pistons team seems to sometimes play really well against contenders, like all their wins are against really good teams this season. So I don't know if that says something about the Pacers that they aren't a really good team since they blew out the Pistons. I don't know. Let me know. Sixers Blazers. I watched a lot of this game. Really good game. Came right down to the wire. A couple iffy calls, I guess you could say, at the end where Tobias Harris kind of knocked Melo over. Melo hit a couple free throws that ended up giving the Blazers the game. Um, but Embiid had a great game on the Sixers side of the ball. He looked like the MVP that he has been. Ben Simmons had a fantastic game. He had one turnover at the end on the last inbounds play that I don't really think was his fault. He was trying to force the ball in. They were going to get near a 5-second violation. He had to do something. He tried to make a play. It ended up being a turnover. It's going to happen. The play wasn't great. The Blazers defended it really well. Um, on the Blazers side of the ball, Dame was really good in the first quarter, terrible the rest of the game. He had a shot at the end that was pretty clutch, but really the savior of this game for the Blazers was Melo. Melo was incredible. He had like 15 points in the fourth quarter. It was a very vintage Melo performance. It was really cool to see from him. It's happy to I'm happy to see him exceeding expectations in Portland. He has really stepped it up since he left OKC and he couldn't find a spot in Houston. I'm glad Portland's given him a home, and he looked like he was really having fun out there, which is cool to see. He's going to be top 10 all time in scoring after this season if he keeps it up. So that's awesome. Shout out to Melo. And finally, I'm going to get to Magic Warriors. I'll start with the Magic side of the ball. I feel really bad for the Orlando Magic. They just cannot stay healthy. Today, Frank Mason started at point guard for them, and then he played 4 minutes because he got hurt. This team is Nikola Vucevic and just like filler roster guys. Terrence Ross had a good game. James Ennis had a good game, but it just didn't matter. This Warriors team just was way too much. No one on that team could handle Stephen Curry, who I'm going to talk about in depth in a second. The Magic are just screwed, man, over by so many injuries. And it might end up not being the worst thing in the long run that this Magic team is going to have a bad season, just because that I think that a lottery pick for this Magic team could be huge. A team that's really struggled with mediocrity for a while. They can't seem to find any success outside of like that 8 seed spot. So maybe if they are able to add like, I don't know, like a Jonathan Kuminga or something to this roster, that could be huge for them. So I guess we'll see where the Magic end up. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that this season is just going not well at all. Um, when we get to the Warriors side of the ball, Stephen Curry, man, is unbelievable. I think we'll title this video that we will never see another Stephen Curry, and I don't think that is really a point anyone's going to argue with me. He had 40 points tonight, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. This is his best season we've seen from him since his unanimous MVP season. I would argue that so far this has been just his second best season in general. Not even thinking about the first MVP season he had, because he's doing it with not a ton of help. He does have Wiggins, who's been pretty solid this season. He's got Kelly Oubre, who's shown flashes here and there. He does have Draymond back. But this team's not deep. This team's not great. Uh, the supporting cast just in general is not very good. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. James Wiseman, Kevon Looney. They're missing guys. Juan Toscano Anderson has had to play a lot of minutes, and giving him credit, he has played really well in those minutes. But he's not the guy that the Warriors would prefer to have out there. Michael Muller's played a lot of minutes. Brad Wanamaker, I'm going to be honest, has been terrible. Eric Pascal's dealt with some injuries. So they've just dealt with a lot of injuries, just players being out for different reasons. And despite all that, Stephen Curry has been fantastic every single night. People spent the first week or two of the season calling him washed up because he was only putting up like 25 a game on like subpar efficiency as he came back from an entire season off of not playing. And people were acting like he was some scrub. It's good to see Steph prove those people wrong. It's so fun to watch Steph go supernova again. Supernova Steph, I think, is what some people are calling him. Shout out to Jay at Hoodie Curry on Twitter. That's the nickname he uses all the time, so I've kind of stolen it. Um, but Steph, man, is unreal. The gravity that he has, the amount of attention that Curry commands when he's on the court, we have never seen. Like, you could talk about guys like James Harden getting doubled, but the way that players shade off of their guy so far, it's almost like if you've ever watched baseball, it's like a shift. There's like a Stephen Curry shift that every team runs when Curry's on the court, because if you don't shift someone over, if you leave Curry and your defender on an island, Curry's going to make you pay every single time. He is not going to miss those shots. He's going to make, and if he's not making a shot, he's going to make a play for someone else that's going to also put you down by 2 or 3 points. He's just unreal. I don't need to tell you how good Stephen Curry is. You know how good Curry is. But I just wanted to give him credit because I don't think he's being talked about enough in MVP conversations. His team isn't that great, so that's why I don't have him as a top two candidate. I think Embiid and LeBron are those top two, but I do think he deserves credit to be in that conversation. And if this Warriors team continues on the uptrend, I think he could definitely find his way into that conversation. Really, I think it's just team success holding him back right now. Um, he's just so good. He had 10 threes tonight. He's had so many games with double-digit threes this season. He's had a lot of battles. He battled Luka the other night. He had that 62-point game. Um, this is probably Steph's, like I said, Steph's second most. Yeah, I'll definitely go second most impressive individual season. I can't argue it over the unanimous MVP season. I just can't. That season was unlike anything we might ever see again. But second best, I think I could definitely give him that, given the lack of help he has. Specifically, man, I really wish this team had Klay Thompson. I really wish they had Klay because I'm really sad. I tweeted this out earlier that we're losing a year of Stephen Curry in his prime going absolutely insane. We're losing a year of him and Klay playing together because who knows how long this is going to keep up. I think Steph's game is going to age really, really well because he is Stephen Curry. He's a great shooter. He doesn't really rely a lot on his athleticism, so I think his game is going to age pretty well. He's going to have a lot of great years ahead of him. But Klay Thompson's been dealing with a ton of injuries, so I'm not sure how he's going to come back. And another injury leading into the season is only going to set him further back. He's getting older. I just really wish we were able to see Klay because if Klay was on this team would be dangerous. And like I said, they don't have a lot of depth. But if Klay was on this team and they had a starting lineup of Curry, uh, Klay, you could put in Wiggins or Oubre, and then you put in Draymond at a small ball center at the end of games. You could throw Wiseman out there in bigger situations. This team would just have a lot of versatility. And Curry also, to give him credit, has really stepped up on the defensive end. And when you have guys like Draymond, who's a perennial all NBA type defender, defensive player of the year candidate, and you add Andrew Wiggins, I almost called him Andre. Oh my God, I almost called him Andre Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins has been a really good defender this season as well. Kelly Oubre is a solid defender. When you put all these solid defenders together, this team had so much defensive versatility, and the fact that Steph Curry can knock down shots from anywhere. If you added a Klay Thompson, who is also a great defender to this roster, I think this team could give a lot of problems to like any team in the NBA. So I'm just really sad we got robbed of Klay this season. Steph's ridiculous. And I think that's about all I want to talk about for today. Let me know down below, like I said, which games you were interested in, what storylines you liked. And yeah, so with that, I will see you guys later. Real and say back.